How are we, guys? So I'm here with Rawdon Dubois, the coffee drinking giver of gains.
Yeah. Well, I'm good at drinking coffee.
You're definitely good at giving gains too, mate.
Give gains to a few people if they follow the plan.
Yeah.
They're
Most
sacked
of them do.
otherwise. They're sacked.
So today I'm going to be interviewing Rawdon, and we're going to be going through all things hypertrophy.
Yeah.
Also running through, Rawdon will actually be presenting at the 2018 Physique Coaching Apprenticeship, which is coming up in May. So we're going to go a little bit into that and what he'll be presenting on.
Yep.
We're also going to find out a little bit about what you do, what you're currently doing, what you have done. And that kind of leads me to the first question. Tell us a little bit about your career so far and kind of how you got here.
Okay. I guess people may know me from my days at Clean Health.
Yeah.
So I was, I guess, Dane McDonald's right-hand man for many years. I was there was one other, I think he had one other girl initially, then she ended up not starting, and then I was basically prepping for my last show. So the last show was the 2010 New South Wales, which was IMBA, it's ICN. Well, IMBA still exists, but it was IMBA 2010 New South Wales Championships. So basically I was 12 weeks out, and when I first met Dane and did a couple of his little advanced, I guess, fat loss seminars, which was sort of run over 4 weeks, met him, blown away by his knowledge, and then basically said, do you want to prep me? So he prepped me. I got exposed to, I guess, the method to the madness of prep, rather than just pushing hard and training hard and not eating much. And he sort of did things really differently, which intrigued me, and I got up, placed second in opens, which was cool.
Yeah, cool.
I actually placed first in the other two times when I did it myself, but second is what it is. It's still pretty good. So thankful for that, and then soon after that, I started Clean Health, and I sort of helped him set the first of its kind, the club up in Sydney City. So we had 25 coaches. I think we maxed out at close to 600 sessions a week there at one stage, and so I helped manage PT manager there for a bit, education manager there for a bit, and then right at the end I was club manager there for a bit. So basically wherever I was needed, that's where I went, and I guess during the time there established myself as or started leaning more towards out of Gen Pop, and I had James Kant, you might be familiar with. I think he's doing some stuff with you as well. So
he's presenting also.
Yeah, so the first men's physique pro in Australia, pretty much, and I was his coach, and we, that's why I got touted the pro maker. Hardly a pro maker. I've only had one term pro, but anyway, cool title. Don't think it's worthy, but so I had James, and there was a little group of guys, and they all did really well. Alex Thompson was another one. He won nationals. I think it was 2013 state and nationals. Placed first in men's physique. So I guess I created a bit of a niche for being a men's physique coach, even though I'm a bodybuilder background. So while I was managing the club and managing the team and doing all the stuff that's involved with that role at Clean Health, started leaning or getting more and more into physique preparation, and parted ways probably a couple of years ago now, the end of 2015, I think, 16, 17, 18, 2015, I think I left Clean Health. Dane was going in a different direction, more into education and presenting and stuff like that, and then I really wanted to get into more physique preparation. That's what I was really passionate about. So left, created the Dubois method, and I guess I was lucky that the Clean Health gave me a lot of opportunities to get in front of people. I went to Melbourne a few times to present 5EW down there, and we also did an internship at Damon Hayhouse's place at Recomp. But Damon's obviously really someone I respect in the industry as well, so that was really cool. And then, I was fortunate that people supported what I did, and ever since I've been, taking selfies, drinking coffee, and working on my laptop. Just
infamous.
And then signing off with everything with love hearts, which is pretty funny when you look at me. Hardly the type of guy you'd think be taking selfies and signing off on love hearts. But yeah, I guess that's my sort of trademark. But obviously, I'm really passionate about physique preparation, and I'm lucky that I can have a business that all I work with is physique prep. I don't work with any general population. I won't work with any individual. I won't pick and choose who I work with, but I will pick and choose based on whether they can commit to the requirements that I need, and that is, doing some sort of professional photo shoot, a 6-month minimum duration, and or obviously a physique competition is that's fundamentally what I focus on. But the rest is history. So every nationals and Arnold's and maybe a couple of shows in the middle of the year. Some of the guys overseas I work with, so shows will be at different times, but that's what I do, man. I just do physique prep, and
awesome, man.
Yeah, I love it. I'm really lucky that people support what I do, and I'm very fitness first couple of years before I started to Clean Health, so sort of earned my stripes in commercial gyms, and did a lot of gym pop back then, pads with mums and whatnot. But fortunately, dude, I mean it's that's your bread and butter, Like I'm lucky, and I think few people see me and want to emulate what I do, and they forget that I didn't just create this 2 years ago, and man, I built my reputation. Like I said, PTM education manager, mentored with Milo Starchev, John Meadows I've worked with, Shelby Starnes, IFBB Pro I've worked with, Dane obviously mentored me for, prepped me for a competition, worked with him. These days, Menno Henselmans, Broderick Chavez, who are bringing out in the seminar as well. Dr. Jordan Shallow I'm mentoring with now. Like, I spend a lot of money, a lot of education. I involve personally, always upskilling myself. So I'm always learning myself, which I really love. But dude, my existence is it's so much fun. And I have, of course, Jade, my staffy. You might see her on social media as well. So. Yeah, man, that's what I do. I take Jada for walks, drink coffees, sit in cafes and write programs and
give gains.
Give her gains, exactly.
Cool, man. So one of the things that I love about yourself is I think it's your passion and love to always be developing your knowledge.
Yep.
Do you want to explain, so I want you to rattle off just obviously some of the mentors I know you just did, but maybe explain a little bit about them as well, and I guess why you do it and why you see the importance to do that. Even, I think a lot of people get to a certain level and think that that's okay, and I'll let you explain the rest, but
I guess, I do put a big value on continued education. I guess that's something that I learned from Clean Health and from Dane, he was one of my mentors as much as we've gone separate ways now, and I don't really communicate too much with him. Continued education was something that he instilled, and we were always having people coming and presenting at Clean Health, and we obviously, I was sort of not forced but encouraged to go down the presenting route, so I was sort of involved in our internships. So I got a taste for it there, but for me to be good at my game, I want to be making sure what I'm talking to you about is relevant, is current, and pretty true to what I'm saying. So I guess there was always an onus because people gravitate towards me for answers, and so I always feel that I never really know enough. Like, I know I'm good at my craft, and I know I produce consistent results, which is awesome. I actually get to work with really cool athletes as well, so I think that's part of it. That they just gravitate towards me. So for that, I'm lucky. But people come to me for answers. It's like, this isn't happening, I want to do a consult, what's the answer? So for me, I'm always upskilling myself, and like I said, even to this day, like Tuesdays I have a 90-minute session with Broderick every week. I talk about athletes that I'm about to put up on stage, the various things that I'm going to do to peak them on the day. And he's produced tons of IFBB pros himself, a lot of track and field athletes, and 30 years in the industry, 30 years plus, in the industry, deep in the trenches, so an invaluable resource. So I mentor with him for 90 minutes every week. Menno Henselmans, arguably one of the smartest guys on the planet in regards to everything, health and fitness related, and that's a lot of where my hypertrophy knowledge is stemmed from. obviously Brad Schoenfeld as well. A lot of what I'll talk about will be referencing stuff that he's actually discovered of late.
Yeah.
So reading a lot of things, but actual mentoring face to face with like I said, Broderick and Menno still. And another one that I've just started mentoring with as of this week is Dr. Jordan Shallow, the muscle doctor. From a
I've actually started just to look at his stuff a little bit as well. And
this guy's a genius,
yeah.
man. Like, and basically, I'm going to mentor with him. We've actually interviewed him because we also do a podcast.
Yeah.
Not that I'm here plugging that, but Under the Bar. It's been going for 4 years or so. That's one of the reasons why I get exposed to a lot of these guys and girls in the industry that are really good at their craft, because they come on the podcast and I get to know them, and then I just hit them up afterwards like, man, I got to spend more time with you.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Jordan Shallow from a Sushi chiropractor, but jacked as fuck. I mean, this guy's jacked. He walks the talk well and truly. And I was actually interviewing him on the podcast, and he was making a reference about mirrors, how they're not needed in the gym. And I sort of said, but Jordan, come on, when we're doing curls, we've got to get in front of the mirror, man. I can't do my bicep curls right in front of the mirror. And he joked, and he said, don't get me started on bicep curls. If you want to know how to get big arms, and that's a whole different podcast in itself. So my ears pricked up. It's like, this guy knows a thing or two about hypertrophy. So it's like, hypertrophy. Well, that's Jordan. So I'm actually going to mentor with him, and we're actually going to do it in a really cool way where we're going to create basically modules. He's going to teach me, and we're going to put all this stuff together, and hopefully we'll get out and amongst it after hours. That'll do with you, of course, and do some more technique stuff and. Okay, what's the function of all the different muscles? Because I can talk to the cows come home about frequency, volume, intensity, and rationalize, the how and the why. All those things are relevant, but maybe a cable lateral raise might be more beneficial than a dumbbell lateral raise. Maybe I'm going to recruit more
actually
fibers.
Going deep into the mechanics.
Yeah, the mechanics of the actual muscle, and then what exercise is the most bang for the buck? Do we have to have as much variety?
Yeah.
For these muscle groups is what we actually think, and I think the answer usually most of the time is no, we don't. There's some key fundamentals that you probably always want to have in your program, but so we had this week. We opened up the lines of communication. He's super pumped about getting started. So am I. But for me, that's probably like actually, how everyone makes okay, what are we going to learn this year? What do you want to learn this year? And for me, started last year, it was hypertrophy. I want to know. Like my programs are good, but they're not consistently good, and I don't necessarily know why that one was so much better than this one. Like what was different? So I made it a point to like Dr. Israel, someone that I've also done a ton of mentor work with. Consulted with him heaps. So he was the first one, and then he actually put me in touch with Broderick. Then I started mentoring with him, but then Menno I've been mentoring with for probably the last 3 years on and off, but set up something. I said, dude, I want to chat with you every week.
Mm-hmm.
But basically he wanted to know all about hypertrophy, and I'm still learning about that as I go, but my base knowledge is pretty good now. Now I want to know, okay, now what about the best exercises? What's going to give me
just
the
refining
best?
the craft as much as you can.
So like even more detail. Like this is how the program should look.
Yeah.
But these are the types of exercises for you that are going to give you your biggest return on investment. And for me, it's really important because, you might come to me, Carl, and it's like, hey, I want to do a physique show. I'll look at you and go, okay, you need a big chest, all right? So and we need to work on your calves.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. Well, do I just do bench press, or do I do incline press? And what sort of calf work do I do to give me the most? Because I've only got you for a short period. I got to try and get, because you're only working with me to get up on stage and be competitive. So I need to know, I can't stuff around giving you exercises that may or may not be my best return on investment. I need to know this is the best exercise for your chest because of these, full range of motion, more fiber recruited, the angles, etc., etc., etc. So that's what I'm going to get from Jordan is, okay, cool, I know all the basics, and we'll keep learning the basics and refining that. But now let's get into the biomechanics of the actual muscles and work out how to get the most out of the exercise selection. And that's what I'm going to learn this year.
Yeah.
So really excited about that, man.
Yeah, and look, what you just touched base on is kind of, I think the reason we're doing this, the physique coaching apprenticeship is you see all this stuff on Facebook now about marketing, and it's like, how do PT marketing, this, and I think like at the end of the day, right, people will always go to someone who provides a good service. We've talked about this before. So You know, and refining your service is something, it's a must to keep up with the, you know, like the studies change all the time.
Yeah, research is always coming out, exactly.
And so it's again, the importance of it, I think, and a lot of people can take something out of your book is, you know, why are you good at what you do? Because you keep refining your service.
Yeah, man. Never content, and like it's really funny if you think about it. Okay, one big element, and I'm not bad at it. Like probably if you were to compare me to some other coaches, and they can get some pretty good results as well. And I'm the first to say, hey, there's thousands of different ways to get to that finish line, but I do it this way because of these reasons. I can always rationalize and explain why we're doing all the different things and the training effect and the desired outcome. But one of the things that I do pride myself on is being pretty consistent with peaking the individual. Like a lot of individuals when they're prepping themselves, and anyone that's done a prep know those last 4 to 6 weeks, you know, you start thinking weird and you do stuff you wouldn't normally do, and that's where I keep calm and sort of guide them. But one of the things I do is I try and create the perfect peaking protocol, which is never going to happen. You know, I think we can actually have any consistency with the body, and it's amazing that anyone gets lean or anyone can peak, and that's why you see even on the Olympia stage, you know, it's Rolly was off, but Phil Heath was off for pre, but then he came on for final. Like even they don't get it right, and that's all they do. Like it's hard. Yeah. So I only get really maybe a show in the middle of the year, but I only get season A and season B, so I can only really have. And how long I've been doing it, last sort of physique prep, maybe 4 or 5 years, last 6 years I've been doing specific physique prep. So yeah, you only get a couple of shots a year. So each time, you know, sometimes I don't get it right. Like, Arnold's last year, I did a water manipulation protocol. Everyone had like from 2 days out had cramps and they were like puking and dizzy, and I was like, oh okay, I went a bit aggressive there. So I didn't do that again. You know, they still look great and go up on stage, but you know, learn and always move forward, I think. And then obviously I went back to the drawing board. What did I do here? Why didn't it work? And break it all down. So, yeah, man, like, and that's what I love too, always trying to, and it will never be the perfect plan, but it could be the perfect plan for that individual at that point in time. And I think that's completely possible. So there's never a perfect program or a perfect peaking protocol or anything like that, but it is the best and the most perfect for him, not her, at that point in time, if that makes sense. Weighing up all the different variables. So, yeah, man, it's important definitely to keep educating. I think, in you know, certainly as in the health and fitness industry anyway.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. So we just talked about it. Hypertrophy is your thing.
Yeah.
Let's get into some content. What are the studies telling us now?
Smoke and mirrors, mate. Smoke and mirrors.
What are the studies telling us now? And another thing is like, how important is programming? I know you're massive on it, so
well, I suppose what you're talking about there is periodization and where I guess one of the things that the skill set that I didn't have that I wanted to have was I had a list of programs that I knew were, and you know, your viewers might, you know, GVT, so German volume training was cool, heavy light, if anyone knows that, that's pretty cool, Rawdon method, that's pretty cool, you know, and I had these different programs which were all pretty good and they were this sort of rep scheme, but I didn't really know, outside of undulating periodization, going through periods of higher intensity and then periods of higher volume and sort of fluctuating between the two over a year-long macro cycle, mesocycles you call those, and a week would be a microcycle. Outside of that, like I didn't really know why I should put that program after that one, and was it actually a progression? And hey, they seem to grow more on that last program, and this one they just sort of, they might have even lost muscle in this one. It's like nutrition is one thing, and obviously we could talk about, you know, I think you're going to have other coaches talk about nutrition and supplementation side of things, but obviously that has to be matched up and energy balance and all that type of thing. But outside of that, you know, I guess you want to understand, and again at the start of last year I sort of, you know, a moment of clarity. I sort of, okay, what am I doing? Am I working? Am I going to focus? Do I need to get them strong? Am I a strength coach? No, I'm not. What am I? Physique prep coach. Okay, what do I need to focus on? Hypertrophy. Okay, well who knows the shit about hypertrophy? Dr. Israel. All right, start looking at his stuff. So I started by first realizing what's the desired outcome. It's build muscle. Do I care if they're strong? No, I don't. Is strength part of it? 100%. But is it a focus? No. Okay, cool. Well, who are the coaches that talk about hypertrophy that are still heavily strength focused? Well, a lot of strength and conditioning coaches will be, okay, well maybe they still always need to have an element of strength. Maybe their periodization models are probably not the best for exclusive physique prep. Okay, well let's understand what actually, then I sort of start asking questions, all right, well what are the mechanisms that drive hypertrophy fundamentally? Is it just lifting heavy shit? You know, or what do we do? Do we lift lighter and more volume, or do we try and lift heavy with more volume? Like, so I guess what I did was work out there's a few key fundamentals that every hypertrophy program should have, and then a few things that need to occur for that program to be effective. So a couple of key fundamentals, and then within those key fundamentals of program design, there has to be something that occurs, progression, over time to warrant adaptation. So when you start understanding that, then long-term periodization or mesocycle program to program, it really, you just manipulate the variables that are actually going to create a progression or a change of training stimulus to warrant further adaptation, because that's all hypertrophy is. It's just an adaptation to an environment that we create, and that environment we create is what we do with the programs.
Yeah, awesome.
So to wrap things up, there's basically a couple, you want a bit of content, so the couple of things that you want to know for hypertrophy is, you can look at Brad Schoenfeld. He's the guy that did a lot of the research with this, and he's at the forefront of, he and Alan Aragon's involved there as well, but Menno's involved. There's some really cool guys, Eric Helms, even Dr. Israel's involved in some of this research. But he's basically shown that there are three key fundamentals that will, translate to hypertrophy over time, and those three are really, really simple. One's mechanical tension, which is basically think load on the bar. Okay. One's metabolic stress, so think lighter loads on the bar and higher repetitions, so metabolite buildup, lactic acid, that type of stuff. And one is basically exercise-induced muscle damage. So DOMS comes along with that. Usually, if you have muscle damage, you will have DOMS, but you can have muscle damage without DOMS, so it's a little bit grey. But they're basically the three things that will cause a muscle to elevate muscle protein synthesis and hypertrophy to occur. But you can whittle that down a little bit. So muscle damage, exercise EIMD or exercise-induced muscle damage, and we can talk about all the scenarios how this occurs, but this is just a bit of a snapshot from what I've learned. This is just what I've learned and what the research is leaning towards at this point in time, and by no means is it the only way to get to the finish line, but this is how I understand it. So exercise-induced muscle damage is sort of like, think of that as recovery from a traumatic training session. You know, one of those training sessions like a bro split, when you get in, you annihilate chest, and then you can't move, you can't touch your shoulders for the next week. Okay, that had a huge amount of muscle damage because you crammed so much volume, so many different exercises that you got hypertrophy from that workout, but you created you dug yourself into such a deep hole of muscle damage that the hypertrophy just got you back to baseline. And you'll find that after that initial period where that type of training worked, you probably find that the bro at the gym that does that style of training, they train harder, they rip it to pieces, but they never really get any bigger. You know what I mean? And why? Because they're focusing on too much muscle damage. Now, hypertrophy is a fine balance between, the analogy, stimulate, don't annihilate. So you want to stimulate you want to send the signal to grow, but you don't want to, hit it out of the park every session, because you're going to start increasing what we call recovery rates, and then we can't train with as much frequency, as much volume, and those types of things are going to grow the muscle far more than trying to inflict a huge amount of muscle damage. Muscle damage comes along for the ride, but we don't want to focus on it, basically. What we do want to focus on is those other two, so metabolic stress, so some higher rep work, and mechanical tension or higher intensity work. So really the holy grail of hypertrophy is quite boring and simple. Reps ranging from 6 to 8, maybe up to 12 to 15, and float around, have periods of 6s, have periods of 12s to 15s, and you're covering all your bases. But the main thing that you want to focus on is having those two elements, metabolic stress, higher rep work, higher intensity, more mechanical tension work,
Yeah.
and progressing the loads lifted over time.
Yeah.
Okay, not necessarily volume, without getting into the nitty gritty and the specifics, which I will do at the seminar and that we're going to do. But not getting into the nuts and bolts of it generally. So if you wanted to some take home points, have periods of mechanical tension over the course of the week, have periods of metabolic stress over the course of the week. You can have it in a single session. You can have it in, more mechanical tension, high loads at the start of the week, more lighter loads, more metabolic stress at the end of the week. However you want to design it. If you are focusing on hypertrophy, you need pretty much those two elements to maximize it. If you spend too much time, with mechanical tension, high loads, joints and connective tissue are going to get cooked. Okay, so we can't do that. If we spend too much time in the world of metabolic stress, that only work to a point. You do have to spend some time lifting heavy because connective tissue and tendons, they don't grow and progress if we don't lift heavy. So that's one of the reasons. But yeah, I could go on and on and on, obviously. But basically, that would be the general consensus at this point in time. Mechanical tension, metabolic stress, muscle damage, let it occur, don't focus on it, and potentially don't do things that exacerbate it or induce far more exercise-induced muscle damage. But if you do, at the end of the program, before you deload and go into a new program where you can overreach a little bit, the listeners will be probably familiar with overreaching. So, you can do it, but strategically rather than every workout would be my advice.
Cool. Well, that was some really good content. A little bit of a sneak peek into what your presentation is going to be on. So as I said, Rawdon will be presenting in the Physique Coaching Apprenticeship, which is coming up in May. He'll be presenting alongside some other really cool people, really smart individuals as well.
Far smarter than me.
So Scotty Goebel, James Kant, Dr. Nathan Bridger, Luke Tully, really smart dude.
Neuroscientist,
Alana Pooley. There's many individuals. So if you are interested in attending the seminar series, please click the link below and book in for a strategy call, because the thing is we are only taking in 30 people, and the reason is because we want people to get the most out of this. So we have to actually handpick the people that we think are really going to take something away from this and use it to, better their own business, but also better the industry.
Yeah, awesome. Can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thanks guys.
See you soon.